When it comes to displaying video, as you can see, Cubase is able to play it back on the desktop in a floating window. As I've noted, that's because it's using the QuickTime playback engine. If I wanted in some way to change its playback or its characteristics, there are various different ways to do that. The first thing I can do is I can just simply resize the window. It doesn't have live resize, but that's not a big problem. So I can click and I can just put it anywhere. Obviously, if you have a second monitor, it's really useful to be able to have a big version of your video and stick that on a second screen. If I right-click on the video, anywhere on the screen, I can send it to full screen mode if I like. And there are various size settings here based on the video's original frame size, not the size it's currently displaying, but what its original resolution is. So if I was to click on actual size, my video is actually very large because it's HD, but obviously that's a bit big for one screen. So I could say I want it to be half its original size, or even a quarter. And if for some reason you have a very high definition second screen, I could even blow it up to double its original size, which is pretty large. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to bring it back down to quarter size for now. You'll see that there are some other options in this menu as well. The aspect ratio setting can be used to change the aspect ratio of the video if you're playing out to an external device or another screen which has a resolution which isn't the same as the main screen or the original video as it was imported. So this is a nice sort of widescreen, as is my monitor, so that's fine. But if I was playing this on a square TV as an external screen, I might want to change its aspect ratio so that it fitted better into the screen. Rather than taking up the entire screen, I might want it to letterbox so it looked more natural as I was working with it. You're also able to switch the video quality here. Now, modern computers are pretty good at dealing with digital video, to be honest, and most of the time playing back a video file inside Cubase on a decent modern computer isn't going to cause you any massive problems. If you're on an older machine or if you're running an extremely heavy project, then you may want to switch this down a little bit. It makes very little perceptible difference, actually, if I just play back. It looks exactly the same as at 100%, and it's using less CPU power. You may find you don't actually have to turn that down. There's another place where you can deal with video settings, and that's in the Device Setup menu. If I go to Devices here, and then Device Setup, in my Video section, here's a little section to control the video player. And we have two options available. The one I'm using at the moment is the on-screen window. Obviously, it's in a fixed format because it is what it is. You can see that it's active here, that box is checked. If your computer has a video output, Cubase is able to fire the video out to a second monitor. Now, you would have to connect that monitor using specific cables. In this case, it would look for a FireWire cable. Now, FireWire is something that's kind of been superseded, so you may be able to make this work with HDMI or possibly Thunderbolt as well. I don't have this active at the moment because I don't have a FireWire connection. Another interesting control here is you can set an offset amount in milliseconds. If you were firing a video out to an external screen over FireWire or some other protocol, you might find that the processing involved in sending it out while running everything in Cubase as well introduced a small amount of latency to the video. If you did have some latency, you could enter a numerical value here to compensate for that latency and synchronize up what you were seeing with the music you were programming or writing inside Cubase. Moving down here, the video playback section, you're able to boost video performance, and you can see here it says that if you do that, an entire CPU core will be reserved just for video processing. As you might expect, that reduces audio performance. Much of the time, you're not going to be too worried about having absolutely crystal clear HD video. You're going to be much more worried about using all the power you can for processing audio effects, virtual instruments, and stuff like that. So, whilst you can turn this on if you like, if that's really important to you, or you have a very fast machine with lots of cores, it's not entirely necessary much of the time. Again here, there's another option to turn the default video quality down to 75% if you want. You probably won't have to bother with that though.